Hello and welcome to potentially the very last episode of the Johnny McCrary Show. And by that, I mean the first episode of this semester of VU Sports Wired. I am Ben Weinrib. Next to me at the desk, Max Hers. Max, how are you doing?
Doing so great. Great to be back on the airwaves. Plenty to talk about. Vandy Hoops got a nice little ugly win last night.
Our first nice ugly win.
Yeah, put that right in the ugly category, as Kevin Stallings would say. Going to talk some Vandy men's basketball, a tough loss to Kentucky to look at as well. Vandy women's basketball, even their conference record at 3-3. We're going to debate whether or not Kevin Stallings should keep his job as Vandy men's head coach. Then we're going to do Commodore Spotlight with a little tennis and some Sam Wild gets his ring of the week game.
That's my favorite week game to play. So, as we mentioned earlier, Vandy basketball had a tough game over the weekend, went to Kentucky. We were hoping this would be a chance for them to get a real quality win, something that they have not had all year, and instead they drop it 76-57 to Kentucky in a really, really ugly fashion. Wade Baldwin does not look particularly great against the two really good Kentucky point guards, and it was never even close from the start.
Yeah, Vandy was kind of in a chokehold this entire game, and it was disappointing because we've really seen this offense flow. It even flowed against Kansas this season. They were getting the shots they wanted, even though they lost that game in Maui back in November. But they just couldn't get any looks in this game. In the first half, Damian Jones just didn't get the ball in the post. He was trying to get himself open. He was fighting, but the guards just wouldn't give him the ball. He only took 2 shots in the entire first half. So that's not the recipe for success for this Vandy team. They ended up losing 76-57. Like you said, Wade Baldwin was out of sorts as well.
Yeah, we've seen them run into trouble against Kentucky, and this isn't the same Kentucky team of old where they have 5 7-footers, but they're still just an incredibly talented team, probably the best team, or A&M, that they're going to see all year. But you'd like to see them at least be competitive. It's okay to go into Rupp Arena and not win. It's a little worse when you're just not even close the whole time. And that's been the really frustrating thing watching them.
Yeah, Kentucky was so much tighter on defense in terms of guarding man-on-man than we had seen from anybody so far this season against Vandy. And that just kind of suffocated them. Riley LaChance couldn't get the threes he wanted. Wade Baldwin was turning the ball over quite a bit. He had 5 turnovers to go with just 7 points. He really wasn't himself in this game at all. And on the defensive end, Vandy couldn't stop Tyler Ulis, the short point guard for Kentucky. He's listed at 5'9", probably a bit shorter than that. But Kevin Stallings was very impressed with him, a guy who, despite his height, is going to get some looks in the NBA after this season. Ulis had 21. Alex Poitras had 16 inside. He really beat Damian Jones and Luke Cornett quite a bit in this game. And like you said, Ben, Vandy was really outclassed in this one, couldn't get any room on offense. And that's what worried me the most, was that even at the end of the game, they still couldn't get their looks.
Yeah, I mean, it's also tough personally whenever we see Alex Poitras. He's a kid, I think, Clarksville, Tennessee, who almost committed to Vanderbilt, and then after committing to Kentucky said he thought he should have gone to Vanderbilt. So especially when he puts up big games against us, it hurts a little more. But of course, we're going to get redemption on February 27th. They'll be coming back here. You know, hopefully, we'll see. Is there going to be a little Stallingsville? We'll have some people camping out to get those front row seats. We'll see. But the good news is, in the very next game, Vanderbilt plays against Florida at home, actually gets their first big quality win of the year. That's a really big, it's just really big to see them actually compete with a quality team instead of dropping to, the Daytons of the world, Baylor, Purdue, and like that.
Yeah, this game was last night. Vandy won it 60-59 at Memorial Gym. Kevin Stallings said afterward that we needed to go win a fight instead of a game. And of course, he clarified that it wasn't literal because he always needs to clarify himself.
Right.
But Vandy was up big in this one in the first half, and the game got ugly in the second half. Florida started coming back, making some shots. Vandy got most of their points at the free throw line, and if Vandy hadn't made their free throws at the end of this game, they probably would have lost because Florida ended up hitting some deep three-pointers at the end, including a buzzer beater that made it a one-point game. It didn't feel like a one-point game, but that's what the scoreline is going to look like. Vandy finally does get that quality win against a top 25 RPI team, and it was because their 2 big scorers did work. Wade Baldwin had 24. Damian Jones had 20. They were a combined 17 of 25 from the free throw line. So it was a tight game, but they drew a lot of fouls, and Vandy's 2 scorers made it count in a game in which the entire Vandy bench combined for 0 points.
On 1 shot, too. They only took 1 shot. That's unbelievable. Riley didn't look particularly good against Kentucky, and he looked so much worse against Florida. He had 5 turnovers, looked really, really bad, and it's getting a little concerning. This was the first time that he didn't start in his entire career. I kind of thought going into the season that Riley may end up on the bench, so that way they can bring him on and then bring Wade off the bench, so that way that you don't have to play Max's favorite over here, Carter Josephs, right away. But he has really been concerning. Nolan Kressler also didn't even play the whole game, so we don't really know what's up with him. Well, I guess injury, right?
Yeah, we're not sure. Nolan hasn't had a ton of playing time, and Joe Toy's really been forcing himself into the conversation as well at the 3. It doesn't help that he's been struggling, and he plays at really the only crowded position on this Vandy roster at small forward. We've seen Jeff Roberson play some more power forward. He's gone back to small forward a lot as well recently. He's been better there. He's certainly more comfortable there against teams with bigger guys. But even a team like Kentucky, and of course Tennessee has no size, and Vandy destroyed them last week.
Right.
Jeff Roberson can definitely play the 4 against teams like that, freeing up the 3. And Matthew Fisher-Davis started at shooting guard last night with Riley Chance on the bench, like you said, coming off the bench for the first time in his career. So it's interesting to see a little bit of position shuffle going on. Damian Jones only had 2 fouls in this game. He's avoided
key.
Foul trouble the past couple games. After the game, he was asked what's led him to stay out of foul trouble, and he said that the Lil B curse has been lifted. So Lil B has been the one causing Damian Jones' foul problems, apparently. I buy it. That's reasonable.
Yeah, we need to check Lil B's Twitter history to see where exactly this started and then map it all out, because I think that'd be wonderful journalism.
Yeah.
So upcoming, Vanderbilt's going to play at Texas on Saturday for the Big 12 SEC Challenge. That's going to be a very key game because Vanderbilt does not have very many tough road games left. At Florida is another big one. And they are 1-5 on the road, including a loss to Baylor, which is another Big 12 team. UT is 19th in RPI, and of course, as everyone knows, we hate orange schools called UT, so we absolutely need to beat the Longhorns. All right, so we are now about to start our new favorite segment. It's our roundtable. Cutler?
Hi, I'm Cutler Klein.
In lieu of our usual favorite game, or new favorite game rather, that we usually do midway through our show, today we here at SportsWire thought we'd bring you a little something different. This week's edition of the Vanderbilt Hustler includes a roundtable discussion in the sports section over the future of head coach Kevin Stallings as in that position with the Vanderbilt men's basketball team. Some argue that Stallings is really great with the X's and O's and should absolutely be staying with the Commodores. Others argue that his lack of success with very talented teams means that his 16-year tenure should end just at 16. So we'll be leading a discussion today amongst our hosts. Should Kevin Stallings be fired at the end of this season? Max and Ben?
That's a nice studio you're in, Cutler. I'm glad we put some big-time money into building that.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't
over the
just
holidays.
renovate the studio here. That would have been much
we're
nicer.
stuck in the Chiefs studio while Cutler gets the nice one on the road. But back to the topic at hand, I think Stallings stays, especially because I sense the fact that, like last season, this team is heating up. They're going to get hot at the right time. Don't forget, last year we started 1-7 in conference play, ended up making the NIT. Everyone was so excited about this team, and then just because they start cold, everybody throws them under the bus, forgetting how much talent is on this roster. And just last season, how hot they got at the end, went through the NIT to the quarterfinals. I could see them hitting a similar streak and getting equally deep into the NCAA tournament, Sweet 16, Elite 8 territory is what we would be talking there. But I think we need to let this season play out. I think Stallings' track record isn't where it should be. He certainly could have one more in his tenure, but I think the quality of the players he continues to bring into this program, who are the guys who are starring on this team now, who are highly rated recruits, most likely 3 future NBA players on this roster right now, possibly
Luke?
even more.
Are you talking Luke number 3?
I'm talking Luke number 3, obviously,
right.
if more guys pan out. But I don't know. I think Stallings stays. I think he's proven himself.
I think that you can't look at this season as the reason to fire him.
Yeah.
Because the weird thing is, if we come into this season and aren't a top 25 team, we aren't looking at it as such a disappointment because this is the exact same roster as last year, plus Nolan Kressler, minus James Siakam. There's not a ton of differences. Obviously, we're older a year, but a lot of the reason people are disappointed is these sky-high expectations, which is kind of unfair to Stallings. And kind of on the other side is, if you fire Stallings, who on earth are you going to hire? It's not like you can just get Brad Stevens to leave the Celtics and come over, or hire the guy at Wichita State. You're not going to get a guy who's better. It's like if we fired Derek Mason, who on earth would we hire better than Derek Mason? So that's sort of where I'm at.
I think Steve Blake will be on the coaching market soon.
Hey,
But
yeah.
that's a completely
I heard
separate topic.
Steve Blatt, who's the former Cavs guy? I heard he's looking for a job. How about you, Cutler?
Interesting perspectives, but I'm of the opinion that Kevin Stallings should probably be fired at the end of this season, and here's why. Yes, Kevin Stallings has led the Commodores to more NCAA tournament berths than any of the coaches that preceded him combined in the modern 64-68 team format. Is that good enough anymore? Kevin Stallings hasn't made a Sweet 16 since 2007 in the game that they lost in heartbreaking fashion to Georgetown by just 1 point off of a nice travel by Jeff Green. After that, he went to three NCAA tournaments in the next 4 years and didn't win a game in any of them. 3 straight upsets in the first round. The last time he won an NCAA tournament game with a Vanderbilt team was in 2012, and that was just a first-round win. A team with 3 future NBA players in Festus Ezeli, John Jenkins, and Jeffrey Taylor couldn't win more than 1 game in the NCAA tournament. Kevin Stallings has had too many really talented rosters that he hasn't had success with. So yes, the NCAA tournament berths are great, but is there a higher level that Vanderbilt basketball can get to? Kevin Stallings might not be the person to take it there. Yes, he's done great things with the program. He's put them on the map. He's got them to the tournament. He's got them relevant. But is there another level? And I hate to quote this man in this situation, but James Franklin, after winning the 2012 Music City Bowl with the Vanderbilt Commodores football team, said, you know, getting to bowl games is pretty sweet, but winning them is even cooler. Vanderbilt is at the point where they need to start winning in the tournament rather than just be satisfied with getting there. That's just my 2 cents. This has been your roundtable discussion on whether or not Kevin Stallings needs to be fired. Guys.
Thanks, Cutler. Can't wait to see you in the nice studio sometime soon.
Hopefully
If and when I'm invited over. Also, his name is David Blatt, not Steve
Yeah,
Blatt.
I got confused.
That'd be pretty cool. That's a big name. But you know, he can't coach stars, though, so
Yeah, not while Luke's around, at least.
yeah. That ego on that Cornette kid.
Kids
Off the
these
charts.
days. All right, well, anywho, women's basketball actually had another strong game. They evened their SEC record at 3-3 with a big win over Alabama, 67-52 on Monday. We've seen consecutive double-digit rebounding games from Marquez Webb, who's looking really good right about now.
Yeah, Marquez Webb's got her name back in the starting lineup. Ratia Long started 10-plus games in a row.
Senior.
They've only been playing one big at a time, and Marquez Webb has still been able to rake in the rebounds despite that. They'd had 2 double-digit rebound games the entire season until the last 2 games. Marquez Webb had double-digit rebounds in both, and Morgan Beatty had 10 rebounds against Alabama. They had 2 double-doubles in that game. Rachel Bell had 23, so they had 2 double-doubles and another player score in her 20s for a career high. So Vandy was getting a lot of offense in this game. They really haven't been scoring more than 60, and that's been what they've been doing. They've been holding the ball the entire shot clock, trying to get shots late, and it's been working. That was how they beat Alabama the first time around. 2 of their 3 SEC wins have been over Alabama. The other one was against LSU, and those are the bottom teams in the conference. So they really need a resume-building win if they want to build off their good non-conference record. They didn't play the best schedule non-conference, so they need to beat some of the ranked teams in the SEC. They took Tennessee to the wire last week in a game that they didn't have too much business keeping close with 23 turnovers. But they have Kentucky this Thursday. They're the 12th ranked team. And, yeah, they need that big win. Kentucky just beat Tennessee, so they need that resume-building win.
Rebounding is going to be key. They out-rebounded Alabama 44-24. Kentucky's got one of the best rebounding bigs in the conference. So that's a really, really good matchup, or at least going to be an interesting one at the very least.
Yeah, we'll see if Vandy can run with some of these big teams. They kept Tennessee close last week, and I was kind of surprised that game was so close because they certainly weren't happy with their play with all the turnovers. But got another shot on the road at Kentucky, and then they've got some big teams at home, including a rematch with Tennessee. So we'll be looking for them to try and pick up a big win moving forward and keep rebounding the basketball.
Absolutely. So now on to Commodore Spotlight. Women's tennis, which is still nationally ranked first, beat Denver 4-0 and Brown 4-0 in the same weekend. That's obviously a great start to the year. We have a lot of returning members between Sydney Campbell and, oh goodness, how can you forget Johnny?
Worked out great last time.
Worked out great
Just
last
hit that
time.
series-winning home run, you know.
Oh, yeah. Astra Sharma.
What's the opposite of a curse? That's what we just did.
Yeah.
Well, didn't she already have the final point last year in the national championship?
It
So
was
that's a
reverse
retroactive.
Johnny. It's the reverse Johnny.
It's a late reverse curse.
Yeah.
There we
I
go.
hope all y'all understand our reference
Yeah.
from the first show 2 seasons ago.
Speaking of people who understand that reference, Sam Wild was back on campus, former producer of VU Sports Wired, to get his Vanderbilt baseball runner-up championship ring. His advanced scouting video was what really pushed Carson Fulmer over the limit last year, the good limit. So
Yeah.
congrats to Sam. He actually said the runner-up rings were nicer than the championship rings, which is interesting.
Yeah, so what do you don't wear the runner-up one even if it looks cooler, right?
You wear them both together.
Or, I don't know, I feel like I'd probably never want to wear them anyways because they're probably too bulky and I'd be afraid of someone mugging me. That's just me, though. Like, I heard, like, some people have it on the necklace. You wear it around your neck or just hide it away. There's lots of options.
We'll see what Sam does. So his only request is that we put more of these episodes on YouTube.
That would require
So-
making more first.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, we're off to a great start this year. The first VU Sports Wired of 2016.
Yeah.
It's been a blast.
Oh, yeah. No new Johnny McCrary news, but we will keep you guys posted. Your home for Johnny McCrary news. Yeah, well, I think that'll do it for us, for Cutler Klein and our studio across campus. Max Hers, I am Ben Weinrib, and we will see you guys next week.